So let me deal with the issue of leadership. Now, as you read through the book and as you make posts, I'm going to see how the readings have impacted you. I want to know how it affects your job, what it is that you do. So as you do a post, briefly explain what's going on, and then let me know how, what the impact of this is on you, what you think about it, what you feel about it. The posts use APA style for citation, but when it comes to style of writing, the posts don't have to sound like the dissertation. You can use the personal pronoun I. You can talk about your own opinions, just so long as I can tell that they have been modified by the reading that you have done. So show me that you've done the reading, deal with the topics, don't be afraid to deal with controversial ones, throw ideas out, argue with one another. That sort of thing works very well for your little weekly post grade of up to 25 points. So and it also gives me fodder for these little videos, because I will read your posts, of course. I read them actually on this thing. I read them on this thing, usually when I'm taking care of elderly parents. I go over there and I read them, and then I either dictate an answer or I type it in quickly. And I take little notes on a little notepad that's in here as well. And then come back here, and when I do my videos, I will have, things to talk about with you specifically relative to the substance of the course. Let's remember the substance of the course is not your disc prop, even though we're all obsessed by it. The substance of the course is educational leadership. That's what Curriculum Studies 726 is always about, with or without the dissertation proposal, which you might notice when it comes to dealing with the points. Let's see now. Where is it here when it comes to points? Okay, I do explain it. I think I explained it. I tell you how positionality is 50 points. Your draft dissertation proposal is only 50 points. Your final exam is worth twice that. And your posts, your weekly posts, are 150. So it works out to a total of 350. And you can see that the scale is pretty much the South Carolina high school grading scale, right? So it's a little bit tougher than what you've seen before. All right, and A is 93, a B plus is 90, a B is 85, a C is 77, a D is 70, and anything below 70 is, we don't even want to sit in the letter name, right? Accessing Blackboard. If you have Blackboard problems, I'm not the person to come to, all right? Call computer services at 777-1800. All right, they're like the air conditioning guy. They know what to do when it comes to fixing your little Blackboard problem. And never submit papers through Blackboard, only posts. If you submit a paper through Blackboard and I can't find it at the end of the term, I'm not going to ask you where it is. You will not receive credit for things that are submitted inappropriately. Make certain that they are submitted properly. And I usually, when you send me something, I usually say, I send you back an email with, got it, thanks. So that way, you know that I did actually get it. I'll put a got it and thanks, all right, for each thing that you send me. All right, and then I'll send it back with comments. The positionalities will be commented on in detail. And then the draft dissertation proposals, you'll probably see nothing in the body, but you'll see a lot of red at the end. Sometimes I've written up to 3 pages on people's papers. All right, and I'll give you an idea as to whether or not I think you're ready to defend. You may not be. And if you have an 824, then you know you're not ready to defend. But if you've had all of your coursework up to this point, you can still put it off until next semester. We will probably do a lot of them next semester. That's my guess. All right, because there are so many of you. We have a total of about 110 people on the program who are going to want to defend dissertation proposals. People will defend them at different rates. Don't feel like you have to do it right away. And please do not start your research until we authorize it by approving your dissertation and it having gone through IRB. All right, and I put IRB right here on my little sleeve in my notebook. It says here, and you get this online, the Institutional Review Board, IRB, for the university. You will find it, just put in the search engine IRB, and you will find everything that you need to know, including contact numbers in case you have difficulties. And what you want to do is ask them questions, and they'll tell you. They know about it more than I do. I didn't have to go through IRB because I didn't have student subjects. And I analyzed documents. This is the way I triangulated mine. I interviewed administrators. I analyzed documents. And then I embedded prior research that I had done from pilot studies in the years before, dealing with these issues in class that I was able to do. Right, that I was able to do that. So if you already have some pilot studies that are done, and as far as actually doing pilot studies at this point, that one I don't recommend it. First of all, that adds a whole extra layer of work. If you happen to be one of those people who has some bona fide published research, which is what I had, that you can incorporate into your dissertation, that's what I'm talking about. My stuff was had already been published. By the time I had some stuff that had been published, so it already had been done. And also it didn't involve subjects. It involved my analysis of what I was observing in my classroom. I didn't have my students as subjects per se. I observed what I did with them. So I was really the subject of the analysis and the hermeneutic analysis. You want to remember that research design, even though it is triangulated and qualitative and all that good stuff, is basically not action research. I did not really do action research. I simply correlated it to what I do in the classroom. Yours is required to be action research. Now, I did deal with issues of diversity, race, and all that good stuff. Race, gender, social class, ethnicity, language, you name it. I dealt with it, threw it all in there because I love that stuff. I find it very interesting. To me, that's more important than anything. So that was what I was dealing with. So that part would have been common in effect with what you're doing. But as far as strictly speaking, Mertler's action research, I did not do that. All right. Although I did use Spradley's, ethnographic techniques in dealing with administrators, and I didn't have to go through IRB as a result. Before class review the syllabus, you should be reading the lectures that are on the site. I will put them up that Susan has done. If they're not up there yet, I'll get to them this weekend. Don't worry about it. It'll be there. It'll show up. Watch my YouTube videos and start reading, please. In the Josie Bass Reader. All right, you have them. Give me a lever long enough through educational leadership and policy standards, about 100 pages of reading a week, which I think is reasonable. All right, and then comment on Blackboard by Friday, and if that's too soon for you, take until Sunday night of next week. You're good. Not a problem. All right, after that, I'm going to deduct points for tardiness. All right. Week 2, August 31st to September 4th, Leadership for Social Justice, Culture and Change, Leadership for Learning. These are going to be the topics of our future videos. Not so much on nuts and bolts and on the disc prop. When I do disc prop ones in the future, I will do them for both classes, and I'll denominate them as such. I'll say this is for both y'all in 820 and in 726. Week 5, let's see. You finish the 28 readings that are in the book, and then week 6 you get the remainder of the Booten book you should finish, and then week 7. So in effect, from week 6, from the 28th of September through October 19th, you should be done with this big thick book. All right, and you should be dealing with your positionalities, which are due Friday evening, October 9th, and then your disc prop draft, due no later than Tuesday, October 13th at 8 p.m. That's where you would send it to me at mailbox. Final exam tentatively scheduled for Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. October 14th on Blackboard from 8 p.m. backward. So just count 3 days back is when it would show up. So from Wednesday evening, Tuesday evening, Monday evening, I'll make it 72 hours back. All right, so that way you have, in other words, Sunday evening is when it would start, 8 to Wednesday evening. I think that's 72 hours, right? And that would be your window. Make certain that you take it within that time frame. And that's a tentative window. No late work without prior permission from me. Let me know if you got issues. You're adults, you got problems, sick kids, hospital issues. I understand. If I need to, make certain you can document it, because the university does not want professors simply to just let students do whatever they want to do. Right? There has to be some rigor in the program. It's not fair to everybody else who does what they're supposed to do. Unforeseen circumstances do arise. Confer with me before you decide not to turn something in. Be sure to read my announcements on Blackboard before you send me an email asking about something that could easily have been found in an announcement. Be sure to look under my organizations on Blackboard homepage in order to access important information about your degree program. Please do that. Okay? If you submit a paper for me to look at, assume it's going to be graded. I would prefer that you send me a hard copy in the mail or show up at my office during the scheduled office hour. Better to send it to me in the mail first and then have the office hour a week later, so that way I can show up with the thing marked and you won't have to spend as much time. Ask questions as you write. Once submitted, your work gets graded for the purposes of this course. You can also use FaceTime. So if you send me something and then we do a FaceTime a week later, that's good too, because then that way I got it right in front of me. It's sort of like what we're doing now. Grades cannot be improved with extra credit after they have been posted with the registrar. Right? I know these courses are expensive. Nobody wants to spend $14.50 for a B or a C or a D or Lord knows an F. You'd like to have A's. However, in order to get that A, All right? Really and truly must follow this syllabus. And if there are any other little things where you see some contradictions, or let's say, for instance, you did have a concern and another professor said blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, here's what I'm saying. All right? And if after listening to what I have said and it's clear to you what I want, and you still want to tell me about what another professor said, you might not want to do that. You might want to stay and say, well, he's made clear what he wants. He's the professor in his class. He must know what he's talking about. He and Susan confer all the time. That's me. I confer with Susan all the time. She's program director. So I pretty much know what she wants and what I want. And she wants APA style, social science research, rigor. All the things that I've said. Okay? Or as I say in the other video, all the little no's that Jim Sears gave and all the little affirmatives that she gave. Right? All those things. So we want that. We would like you to do that. And remember, we would like, it's just a polite way of asking you to do something. You know, high school kids, when you make a suggestion, they think it's like, okay, I don't have to take it. But as college students, we understand, you know, like when in the world of work, when your principal suggests that you do something, usually that suggestion is a command. It's just a polite way of, you know, he or she is just a nice person, you know, just a nice person. So look at it in those terms. I'm just being just a nice guy. All right? And that's the way I want to be with y'all anyway. I will have a special guest in the next few days. He's supposed to come over and visit. We will simply call him Stephen. He works for a large company, and he's going to talk about leadership with me and try to get you to see the commonalities between leadership here and leadership in the world of business. He goes to the Darla Moore School of Business as a graduate student and has long experience in industry and actually trains people. There are people in industry, you know, particularly out of HR, that's usually the department that runs it, human resources, they train. They go out and they make presentations and they train. They train salesmen, they train staff, they just get out there and make presentations with PowerPoints and he has a smart board in his classroom at his company. And when he's not training, he's doing other things. They sent him to Hawaii recently to train people, and all expense paid. And I thought to myself, gee, that's the kind of job I'd like to have. I don't think the university is going to send me to Hawaii. I'm just kind of happy they gave me an office, even though I have to share it with somebody. And I do, by the way. I will continue this little discussion. Let me see what else I have to talk to you about. Let's see now. I want you to think, as far as the course is concerned, get into the reading. Start thinking about the nature of leadership. Let's talk a little bit about that too. And I'll let it run until 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna stop for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna think about what I want to tell you. All right, as you read this book and as you deal with the issues of leadership, think of examples of ineffectual leadership that you have observed. Most of you have been in this business for 15 years. You have probably seen some great leadership at all levels. Great assistant principals, great teachers, great board members, just great people. And then others who, even though they're otherwise very intelligent and well-meaning, are really awful, baleful leaders, you know, who antagonize everybody, you know, and can't seem to get anything done. Or are so busy trying to be nice that, you know, people just walk all over them. You might have even done so too. If you're, I don't have to do this, I'm not going to. Get in on time? Who needs to get in on time? In my school, the one that I just taught in recently, I have seen teachers, because I functioned as an administrator for a while, who would just leave their class, leave them unattended. I'm not going to say what school it is, or come late. They're otherwise great teachers. The kids are standing outside like as if it were a college class, waiting on the teacher. And the principal was too nice a guy to deal with it directly. Now, come on. What kind of a message does that send to teachers and parents and children with regard to being on time? Granted, in the digital age, we're doing this at home. I mean, you know, I do pretty much what I want. And I get paid full time in addition to my pension. Right? I'm a working retiree for the state, for USC. But think of the implications. I'm sure you have seen things like that too. You got people who come in every day, do what they're supposed to do. They love the kids. They work hard. They turn in their lesson plans. Their grades are turned in on time. They actually do the paperwork that the textbook coordinator asks for. I was one of those for years. You know, let me tell you about teachers and textbooks, okay? Yeah, this is 1438. I got stuff to tell y'all. I do. Let's talk about leadership now. Forget the dispro. Let's talk about some of the crap, pardon my French, that we have observed and how this book is actually going to help us in general with the concept of leadership, not just leadership for curriculum, but leadership in general. Because if you don't have everything right, you're going to get none of it right.